Germany is a great place to work, especially for foreigners, with its strong economy and many job opportunities. But lately, things have changed. The German economy, especially the car industry, is facing some tough times. And since the auto industry is a big part of the economy, other sectors are also feeling it. This means more job insecurity, especially for expats. On top of that, workplace problems can make it easier for your boss to choose you if layoffs happen. That's why it's important to know how to protect your job in Germany. So in this video, I will talk about employees' rights in Germany, things that can get you fired, the one insurance that you must have if you are an employee, and important tips to help you protect your job in Germany. By the way, if you're new to the channel, my name is Essen. I'm a researcher, and on this channel, I share how to succeed financially in Germany. Now, problems and conflicts in the workplace can arise anytime, especially when you're new in a country and aren't sure about your rights and the correct process. So the first thing you need to do is check what's written in your job contract. When it comes to your employment contract, it is not necessary for it to provide the details of every single thing you have to do. The broader the description of your responsibilities, the more flexibility your employer has in assigning you different tasks. On the other side, a more detailed job title and description make it easier for you to decline tasks that are not aligning with your qualifications. Under the guidelines of the Evidence Act, it's important that a concise written description of the work you will be performing is included in your job contract. As an employee, you are not obliged to achieve specific work outcomes. Instead, your responsibility is to perform to the best of your abilities under reasonable conditions. This is very important because if your employer is dissatisfied with your performance, they may consider termination based on your behavioral or personal grounds. However, they must provide evidence that your performance has been significantly inferior compared to an average employee with similar tasks over an extended period. Thankfully, there is something called Kündigungsschutz that keeps things in check. Protection against dismissal ensures that employees cannot be fired without a valid reason. Employers must follow labor laws and legal protections when terminating someone. The Protection Against Dismissal Act is important in this process. There are two types of protections against dismissal. General protection against dismissal. This applies to employees who have been working full-time for more than 6 months. And special protection against dismissal. This covers employees who need extra protection based on their personal situation. Personal situations that give extra protection include pregnancy, parental leave, severe disability, or being a member of the Works Council. However, some workers are not protected under these rules. These include board members, managing directors, managers, and freelancers. It's important to know that the Dismissal Protection Act only applies to companies with more than 10 employees. Smaller companies with 10 or fewer employees have different legal protections, like the General Equal Treatment Act, the Special Dismissal Protection Act, number 138 of the German Civil Code, and number 9 of the Maternity Protection Act. If you work in a company with more than 10 employees and have completed your 6-month probation period, your employer needs to provide a valid reason to fire you. However, they don't have to give the reason in the termination notice. There are 3 main reasons for termination. Number 1, behavioral. This happens when an employee's actions are the problem. For example, theft or harassment could lead to termination. Number 2, operational. This happens when the company makes changes, like shutting down a department that isn't doing well or dealing with financial problems. Sometimes companies might outsource jobs because it's cheaper than keeping employees in Germany. And number 3, personal. This happens when the employer feels the employee isn't a good fit. For example, the employee might be frequently absent or not perform well at work. Now that you know the basics of the German labor law and how the German government can help you, let's talk about how you can protect your job in Germany. But before I do that, please hit the like button if you're getting value from this video and consider subscribing. Alright. Like many other things in Germany, you should definitely look into legal insurance in Germany. As a foreigner in Germany, we are already at a disadvantage when it comes to knowledge on labor laws. On top of that, German labor laws are detailed and can be very difficult to navigate without professional help. This is where legal insurance provides you access to a lawyer who understands these laws and can guide you through the process. Obviously, you don't have to have legal insurance to get a lawyer, but if you are dismissed unfairly, the legal fees to fight it can be high. Legal insurance covers these costs, saving you a lot of money in case of a court battle with your employer. In many cases, legal representation can help navigate a better severance package or a fair settlement, something difficult to do without proper legal advice. So which legal insurance in Germany should you choose? There are many options to choose from, but two of the most popular ones that have English customer service are GetSafe and Feather Legal Insurance. These are by no means perfect, but they are highly rated on the web. If you want to support me and this channel, you can use the links in the description to sign up at no additional costs to you. Similar to all other legal insurances, these also have a waiting period of between 3 to 6 months, depending on the package. The waiting time describes the time between your contract starts and your insurance coverage starts. This means that you have to be proactive and get legal insurance based on the economic situation. Now, I'm not saying you need to become an expert in macroeconomics, but you should at least know how your sector is doing globally and more importantly in Germany. It's also crucial to stay informed about the financial health of your company. If you work in a multinational company, it's usually easy to find this information. You can check the stock price, financial reports, and other public data to get a sense of how your company is doing. But if you are in a small or medium-sized business, it might be harder to find detailed information. However, you can still dig around. You can check public records, industry reports, and even talk to the people within the company. Many foreigners avoid getting involved in office politics. But if you start hearing rumors about financial problems in your company, don't ignore them. Talk to your colleagues and try to gather as much information as you can. Now, this might sound a bit cynical, but think about this scenario. If your company needs to let go, how confident are you that it won't be you, especially if you're a foreign worker? Unfortunately, I've seen many highly skilled professionals on blue card be the first ones to go, particularly in the IT sector. This isn't always the case, but it's something worth considering. Staying informed about your company's financial situation gives you an edge. It helps you prepare and plan things in case things go for the worst. You might be thinking, Asan, I already know about my company's financial health, I have legal insurance, and I am somewhat aware of my legal rights. What else can I do to protect my job in Germany? To that, I would say great. Let's talk about what else you can do. One important thing to understand is that Germans generally dislike change. Sometimes this resistance to change is helpful and other times it can be frustrating. But let's focus on the good side. For Germans, punctuality is key. If you are regularly late, even if you are the best performer, it won't matter. People will not like it. Being on time for work and meetings shows respect and professionalism, which is highly valued in German workplaces. Another thing to keep in mind is that Germans are very formal, especially when it comes to workplace communication. Unlike English, the German language has formal and informal ways to address people. You must use Herr or Frau followed by the last name until they invite you to use their first name. You also need to be careful with this. If someone offers you to communicate on a first name basis and you keep using the formal Herr or Frau, it can cause a problem. This is common in cultures like the subcontinent where formality is used to show respect, especially with senior employees. But in Germany, continuing to use formal language after you've been invited to use informal can come across as cold or distant. It might suggest that you want to keep a professional distance, which could hurt your relationship with that person. Germans value direct and respectful communication. They also appreciate it when expats make an effort to fit in with the company culture. This means following the rules, being on time, and respecting communication norms. Small things like that can make a big difference in how you're perceived by your colleagues and managers. Your German colleagues might also seem a bit reserved or dry compared to people from your home country. However, many Germans tend to relax more in social situations. One of these times is during lunch breaks. Lunch breaks are typically around 30 minutes in Germany, and it's common for colleagues to eat together. This is a great opportunity to socialize and build relationships with your co-workers. That said, it's important to remember that Germans generally keep their personal and professional lives separate. Unless you've known them for a long time, avoid bringing up personal matters during work conversations. This is where some expats make mistakes. Either they avoid socializing with colleagues altogether, or they become overly intrusive, asking too many personal questions too soon. Finding a balance is key. Try to join your colleagues for lunch and engage in small talk. Ask about work-related topics or light, non-personal subjects like hobbies, travel, or current events. It helps to stay friendly and approachable without crossing into uncomfortable territory. For example, instead of asking about their family life, you could ask if they have any fun plans for the weekend. Building casual relationships at work can also be beneficial. If you share a hobby or interest with your manager, like sports or outdoor activities, it could strengthen your professional bond. For example, an employee who goes rock climbing with the manager might have a stronger connection and be seen as a more integrated part of the team than someone who rarely interacts. This doesn't mean favoritism, but having a positive relationship with your colleagues and supervisors can make a difference, especially during tough times when decisions about layoffs are made. Now, there may come a time when you are one of the unlucky ones who are fired from your job in Germany. This would be a very difficult situation to be in, and it might be helpful if you know what happens to your residence permit, health insurance, bonuses, and even those precious unused vacation days. I discuss all this and much more in this video. And in this video, I talk about what to do before signing a job contract in Germany. So thanks for watching, bleibt gesund, and I'll see you in either of these two videos.